Comic relief from characters like Drax is welcome, but when they're reduced to clowns, they lose any shred of dignity they might have had. There are several reasons filmmakers try switching up a character's persona, and while it works in some cases, there are other instances that turned out to be disastrous. Keep watching the video as I'll be listing out 10 movie characters that were ruined by becoming comic relief. Why do filmmakers switch up a character's personality? Directors are aware that a plot never takes action on its own, because to get the most out of a story, the film's plot must revolve around its main character. The writer develops fictional characters in a story by introducing plot points, such as goals, obstacles, and conflict. Creating likable characters is a way writers draw the audience into their stories. While character development is a staple of fiction writing and a means by which the audience can become invested in the story's progression, it's also one of the literary terms authors most often hear. Character development is the art of giving fictional characters distinct traits, backstories, and goals that serve to enrich the narrative. What happens to a character as the story progresses is also a major part of character development. Characters who are believable have depth and individuality, and every one of them is grounded in reality in terms of physical appearance, temperament, and history. All in all, a story's arc is based on the character's decisions and the reasons behind them. Unfortunately, some characters have been destroyed due to careless use of comedic relief elements, and I'll be giving you 10 examples here. Number 1. Gimli. Gimli, the movie character who coined the term Gimli reigns supreme. His comedic role in The Fellowship of the Ring was a departure from the book, but it was still consistent with the character's full development. However, and rather unfortunately, by the time of Two Towers, Gimli's persona had changed. Reddit user Eldenero87 stated, Gimli went from being this proud, sturdy character with a slightly too high opinion of dwarves to this bumbling comic relief character who falls down a lot. When compared to his literary counterpart in The Two Towers, who was every bit as powerful and capable as Legolas, this is an even bigger discrepancy. Number 2. Bruce Banner. Since the Hulk has appeared in Marvel Comics for decades, he had to be a part of the Avengers movie in 2012. Bruce Banner, who is one of the franchise's most popular heroes, is depicted as a reserved individual who goes to great lengths to avoid stress. This was consistent with his comic book persona, but wasn't maintained in subsequent film installments. Eldenero87 observed, the way he acts in Avengers 2012 compared to Infinity War and Endgame is unrecognizable. Bruce Banner seems to have borne the brunt of the MCU's goofiness, going from a genius scientist to a clueless weakling who was always struggling to keep up with the plot, as the MCU has shifted its focus to action and comedy. One would have thought after the death of Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, Bruce would have switched back to serious mode since the two clearly had a thing for each other. That's quite unfortunate to say the least, as the Hulk used to be one of the MCU's angriest characters. Hopefully, Marvel will hear the outcry of the audience and return Bruce back to his former self. Number 3. Pintle and Ragetti. Pintle and Ragetti joined Captain Barbossa and the terrifying cursed crew in Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, and due to the film's subtle and dark humor, audiences had no trouble warming to the two despite being part of the villainous team. After their transformation into regular humans in the subsequent episodes, they seem to have lost all their ferocity, in spite of their inherent silliness. As Reddit user HurdyGurdyMan42 pointed out, they're introduced murdering someone, shooting him point blank in the face. However, later films portrayed them as incapable of even properly aiming a pistol. Truth be told, that doesn't even make any sense. Number 4. Ron Weasley. One Reddit user responded to a question about which characters had been Gimli, but the user stated that they'd rather talk about characters who got Ron Weasley'd instead. Ron had the best one-liners of the Golden Trio in the Harry Potter books, but despite this, he was a bright, courageous, and eventually empathetic protagonist. As for his role in the Harry Potter film, you can't make the same claim. Many viewers have felt for a long time that Ron was given all the jokes written for the other characters. As a result, everyone but Ron became completely unfunny, and Ron was reduced to a caricature of himself, characterized only by his negative traits, being mean, afraid, and the punchline of every joke. Number 5. Drax. Drax's overly literal quotes and personality were an immediate hit to anyone who saw the first Guardians of the Galaxy, starring Dave Bautista. The combination of this with the rest of the Misfit team made for a hilarious performance, and the audience demanded more. Redditors such as Eldenero87 were surprised by the character shifts in Volume 2, stating his peculiarity was a lack of metaphor comprehension, which evolved into a total absence of social skills. In many respects, Drax is still a likable character, but as MCU movies increasingly highlight his naivety, his other qualities risk being overlooked. Let's hope they get that right sooner than later, or the audience will find a good reason to dislike the character. Number 6. Dr. Marcus Brody. Indiana Jones is another franchise that finds the right balance of action and comedy. In the original original movie, the humor was spread among several characters, but as is typical of ongoing series, a small group of regulars began to shoulder the bulk of the dumb jokes. Redditor Veil of the Force used Dr. Brody as an example. They mentioned how Brody was a proud supporter of Indy in the original Raiders of the Lost Ark film. He was a wise guide who fully grasped the hero's enthusiasm, but in The Last Crusade, Brody had become a bumbling buffoon. Number 7. Monsieur Thénardier. Les Miserables is one of the darkest film musicals, and the song Master of the House, in which Monsieur and Madame Thénardier sing about their shady business practices, is a fan favorite, despite being a despicable tune. This reveals just how terrible they are as guardians to cassette, while providing some levity after other heartbreaking songs like I Dreamed a Dream. But in the original 1862 novel, Monsieur Thénardier was a lot more ruthless and cruel, which makes him a terrifying antagonist compared to his stage and 2012 film counterpart, according to Redditor J.M. Crown. The movie might have benefited from his silly comedy, but it lost a great villain in the process. Number 8. Roman Pierce. It could be said that Vin Diesel's Dominic Toretto could have been replaced by Roman Pierce in the Fast and Furious sequel, Too Fast, Too Furious. Roman was cool, capable, and always ready to make a well-named joke at another character's expense. Redditor Warrior 253 described him as confident or maybe even cocky, but when Pierce came back to Fast 5 as a supporting member of Toretto's team, he was a completely different person. One Redditor wrote, "He's scared of everything, and while he used to be the witty one, he became the butt of everyone else's jokes." This drastic change in Roman's personality stuck around for the rest of the movies, which was a real bummer. Number 9. Finn. Fans of the Star Wars saga were cautiously optimistic about the introduction of new characters in 2015's The Force Awakens, and the intriguing Finn was the first stormtrooper that viewers would come to care about. Finn had a lot of potential in the first movie. Redditor Rena Diffie wrote, "The character of Finn had the potential to become as iconic as the originals because he was the first person of color to play a major role in the franchise, and because of the thrilling story of a trooper gone rogue." Disappointingly, most of his screen time was him falling over and bumbling around in both The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. And number 10. Jack Sparrow. Undoubtedly, Jack Sparrow is one of Johnny Depp's finest characters ever played. The audience was instantly drawn to Jack in Curse of the Black Pearl because of the way in which his genius and eccentricity were balanced. However, some viewers felt that Jack's eccentricities were becoming more and more prominent as the series progressed. According to Reddit user Beamer1721, the problem began when the writer switched from writing Jack Sparrow to writing for Johnny Depp. Sparrow was written as a mischievous yet brilliant pirate, but Depp brought the role to life with his physical comedy. It was attempted again in later films, most notably in Dead Men Tell No Tales, but the writers went a bit too far with the character this time. Well, there you have it, guys. Are there any other characters you can think of that have been ridiculed comically? Let us have your opinions in the comment section, and I'm sure you enjoyed watching the video, so it'll be great if you like and share it so that others can watch it too. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and punch the notification bell to keep getting more interesting content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.